I think we'll just do kind of what we normally do, but I'll just do like a shorter fade on the sides, and then I'll clipper cut some of the top and show how I learned how to do that. Okay. Grab a comb. And I don't think anybody knows, but you're the one of the two people who makes all these YouTube videos. One thing about David's hair, and I knew this early on when I first started cutting it, he's got like a real distinct part, which can limit some of the stuff that his hair can do. He's got great hair, but his hair definitely wants to part over this way. So one thing I've learned from seeing other barbers, specifically like the Squirm guys, is using what your hair's already doing naturally to its advantage, like hair cutting judo or something like that. Or instead of trying to fight something that your hair's naturally doing, use it to create the haircut that you want to make. And normally he goes a little bit longer on the sides. Today I'm just going to take it a little shorter, and I'm going to try to do this a different way. A few years ago, I went to England and I took a class in Sheffield with this guy named Joth Davies. Joth owns a barbershop called Savills. And I used to call it Seville's, but hopefully I say it with that British accent, Savills barbershop. But he has, as far as the aesthetic of his haircuts, they look similar, especially the classic haircuts, to some of the other ones from some of the other shops, but the way he accomplishes his haircuts is a little different. The thing that I was doing in the last video with the skin fade, he usually starts out doing that either with the clipper or the trimmer, and just gets all this hair that's like real low first. Actually, I'm gonna do clipper over comb first, then I'll do that. This is like an old cordless wall senior I have that I fixed up. Haven't used it in a while, but being that Joth uses all wall stuff, I just figured I would use wall stuff also today to show some of the stuff I learned from him over there. But I'm starting the same way that I usually start most of my haircuts, with like a baseline, but really I just want to get some of this bulk schwacked out of the way so that I can see what I'm doing. And I'm going around the head. One thing that I do differently than what most people have taught me is like the Squirm guys and a lot of the other barbers I like, they'll like do clipper over comb one side, fade one side, fade the other side, meet in the middle. I truthfully don't like doing it for really the main reason is during the day when I'm at the shop, I have a lot of people other than the person in my chair asking me questions, or I need to kind of do something or put out a fire. And I like going around the head because I don't have to worry about where I left off in case I need to, go take care of something and then get back to my haircut. I do see the benefit of doing it the way that they're suggesting. It's just, that's why I don't. I'm also always worried about if I fade one side one way, trying to replicate it with certain haircuts. So I just go around. That's one thing that's different that I do. And this is a 1.5 with the arm open, which is basically a 2. I'm gonna get this out of the way first. But I was really excited to go to that class, go to England. It was always somewhere I wanted to go and see. And I knew that he did things differently. That's why I wanted to learn it. So you don't have to be one size fits all with how you do haircuts. Some days I walk in, maybe I have different tools available to me, or I just want to try something different, use different stuff, and I have to change up my technique. Sometimes I have some issues with my hands that require me to change up my technique. Just makes it a little easier on my wrists and my joints. So I'll go about it that way. So I'm just getting this all out of the way. This will actually just take the clipper itself instead of maybe like the trimmer and do the same thing that you've seen me do in previous videos, but with the clipper. So he'll actually go like this. Pretty much all this hair that's just above the ear here, and instead of using the trimmer, he's just using the clipper to get this hair out of the way. And David here, he has like an issue with his ear. It's sensitive, so I normally would just grab his ear and move it out of the way, but because of that, I'm not going to touch it on this side. The other side I can, but don't want to mess with that. So now I'm just getting rid of all this hair, particularly in the neck area, because this hair goes every which way. So he explained to me, by doing this, you're just eliminating that whole fighting the taper portion. And instead of using the trimmer, he just maybe just felt like trying it with the clipper. Did it this way. I also like that he just showed me a few ways to use a clipper differently. Normally I would use the trimmer and do it, but I thought this was cool. So this ear I can move, so I'm just going to move it out of the way now. And I'm just going pretty much just above his ear. Let me grab something real quick. I was going to say also, you know, David here, he's an excellent photographer. He's got a lot of experience. The way I actually got into taking any kind of pictures was I started working with this guy I met at the shop I used to be at, named Kyle Gilbert, and he had just finished school, and he showed me some of his pictures while I was cutting his hair, and I asked him if he could like just take some pictures of me at work doing haircuts, because I had never had anybody take a picture of me while I was doing my job. And then eventually he convinced me to get my own camera, because I can't have Kyle hang out with me all the time. So I was like, well, I guess I'm going to have to learn how to do this if I want to keep getting good photos. And long story short, Kyle's doing really well for himself now, and his work's gotten even better. I haven't seen him in a while, but he was really the person that got me into photography. And then when people like David, or I have a few other guys that come in that are photographers, it's fun to actually be able to talk a little bit about it with someone. And I've gotten a lot of great information just simply by asking questions. I'm going to try to take a picture today. It's been a while, but definitely learned a lot. I think one of the biggest takeaways is the gear doesn't actually make you a good photographer, which was really grateful that I learned that lesson early, so I didn't end up getting a bunch of stuff I didn't need. Okay, so now I did that with the clipper, and I'm just going to fade top down like I do usually. This is one guard with the arm open. Recently I got a mirrorless camera. It's different than using the DSLR. Just going about how you do the pictures is different. And I'm still getting used to being able to shoot like live time, whereas with a camera like a regular DSLR, you have that mirror inside, so you have to shoot, see what the picture looks like, and then readjust all your lights or readjust, your ISO. I know it's supposed to be easier, and the picture quality is outstanding, but there's still a learning curve. It's still hard. And one thing I was going to say is sometimes I would take, and this still happens to me, I'll maybe do a haircut that I think's really good and take a picture of it, look at it later. Maybe the picture's great, but I don't love the haircut too much, so I end up not using it for anything. Or the opposite happens, where the haircut's great, but the picture's blurry and looks like crap, so I end up not using that. So it just kind of comes in waves. If I don't feel like taking pictures, I just don't for a while. I don't want to force things. I always, for me at least, tend to do better stuff when I'm really into it. If I need a little break, I'll take a break. I know a little bit of Photoshop now because I've taken a few creative live classes, but Lightroom is what I'm normally using, and from most people I've talked to that take really good photos, that's mostly what they're using too. It's a very simplified, I'd say it's like a simplified photography version of Photoshop. But Photoshop, I have learned, is there's way more possibilities to edit and do things with your photos. When it comes to this particular thing though, you don't necessarily want to, and this is kind of a controversial issue in barbering. You know, some people really edit a lot of their photo. Personally, when I am editing, I tend to just be editing light, like the color in the room, because these lights are really warm and yellow. And when I first started shooting with a flash, I learned how detrimental that was to editing, because I would, like, if most of the room's yellow and then I'm using a really bright flash with no gel or anything on that's white, I'm trying to edit like white light and yellow light at the same. It's a big pain in the ass. So one of the last times Kyle came in here and did some stuff, I was explaining to him that exact problem. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, and he just went and on his phone and like ordered I don't know, for like $10 or something, like some gel stuff that I could cut out and put on the flash, and it instantly fixed the problem. But now I'm not using flashes, I'm using strobes that I got, and those are just basically tricked out lights, more powerful lights, but it's a little different using those because the gel wouldn't do anything on a strobe. The first time I shot with a flash, all my stuff looked like shit. I blew out the whole photo. It just looked weird, and I didn't try again for like 6 months. I was like, no, I'm not doing that. So it's hard, and I think I said in one of the other videos, I would come in on my days off and practice basically something with a haircut and then the photos. And the first guy I actually took a really good photo of with a flash, I probably took like 300 photos of that guy and used like 2. Okay, I always forget I can move this ear, just not the other one. Anyways, this is a half guard now, and I'm just chipping away like I do, top down. But how I started it, that's how the guys over at Savills, forgive me, Joff, those are how those guys do that. That was like one thing I noticed right away. It's like, oh, okay, you guys are starting out this way, cool. And I'm gonna cut the top in a sec and show something that he was doing when I went and learned some stuff from him. The first camera I bought, and I know at least a lot of the barbers and hairstylists I know, they use Canon, but I didn't really know what kind of camera I should get, so I went to a camera store, and the guys there, if you buy a camera, they actually will give you a few free classes. But he said that year he felt like the Nikon stuff edged out the Canon, so that's how I got on Nikon. And went and took his classes. It was down by the Desert Botanical Garden, and just showed me how to shoot some stuff. But it was a Nikon D3400. It was a crop sensor. And I actually recently traded it in for towards some lenses. It was a little sad because it's definitely an outdated camera now in terms of the technology, but I got a lot of good pictures with it. So I was like, it was a little bit of a bummer, but I had to do it to graduate to that next camera. There was already barbers shooting with professional grade cameras. I actually, took a few classes where it was suggested to start doing that. I don't want to say that like there's still a lot of barbers that don't do that. They just use a phone and take like raw, unedited pictures, and they're outstanding. They look great. It's just depends on what you're trying to do. But I actually didn't expect to like it. I thought it was just gonna be like a necessity for work. But what I have learned is I really love photography, and it was cool because like when I was younger, I wanted to be an artist, but I can't draw. And other than doing hair, that was like kind of the only like somewhat creative thing I ever did. And when I got introduced to photography, I was pretty okay at, I mean, I wouldn't say I was great at first, but I saw the potential of what else I could possibly do with this to kind of, not just for haircuts, but maybe just taking nice pictures, express myself in pictures, and be creative in photos. So in a way, because of barbering introducing me to photography, I found something else that I could be passionate about and like. And it's hard. That's the thing. It's not easy to be good at photography. I learned that really fast. I knew what I wanted to do, and I've seen enough barbers and hairstylists that take great pictures, so I knew what I was aiming for, but how to get there was like, well, how do I get there? I started looking at YouTube videos. I bought some online courses, and then when the first time I actually took good photos with a flash, it's hard for me now even to take photos without a flash, at least haircut photos, because once you see the difference and you understand what it is that you're doing and the potential of your camera is unlocked from using flash photography, it's really hard to go back. I've taken pictures real quick maybe because I was in a time crunch and I don't have time to set up all this gear. And nowadays I have to put everything away because all the chairs are full, which is great, but having a big giant beauty dish or something just sitting out in the middle of the room, and people just trip all over it and stuff. So I have to put it away. But the flash definitely makes a huge difference with showcasing your work. Okay, let me just get this a little bit. And I'm still learning stuff with the camera. Lately, I haven't been shooting a lot of haircut photos, but it was suggested in one of the courses I took, like, just start taking that camera everywhere you go, and that's what I do. It's in my backpack every day. I don't always use it every day, but it's there in case I need it. I'll just get this. I'm almost done with this part, at least the initial part of it. I'll clean up some stuff later. I just want to get this a little more. It's kind of the same concept as the other way I cut. I'm just chipping away at this a little bit. I'm going to re-wet the top and we'll do some cutting on the top. It's okay for now. Just a little line here I'm going to get with this. I'm just using a little width-wise tighter comb so I can get this little line out here. And I'll refine everything after I dry this, but it's a pretty decent start. So now I'm just going to use the trimmer. I'm going to line around his ears and his neck area, and then we'll do the top. Some of this stuff might, especially if you've seen the other, couple of videos, some of this might be a little redundant, but, repetition is the key to just getting anything, regardless of whether it's barbering or whatever. It's just repetition's a mother of skill. Just keep doing it and doing it and doing it until it gets better and better and better. This lather machine is really loud. It sounds like a cow. I don't know why. One of my clients said it sounded like a cow. And I'm going to use, because I'm not really doing anything crazy as far as the lining part. I'm going to use a regular hone and strop razor. So this razor doesn't have a disposable blade. It's like a regular razor. And I could already hear in my head people going, "Oh, you can't use that." Well, guess what? That's not true, because I called the barber board. They said you could. For years, I thought, and I don't know why, I think I probably just heard it from other people that cut hair. I was told that I wasn't able to use a regular razor. And I found this company online called Portland Razor Company, and they make these razors special. The big thing that's really special about it is you can actually dip it in barbicide. You could leave this in the barbicide and it's not going to destroy the razor. I can't remember what they made the scales out of. This thing here is called the scale. But it's okay to put in the barbicide. And also I have a UV sanitizer, but these old straight razors you might see on eBay and stuff or in antique stores, they could still be used. You could sharpen them and use it. The problem is a lot of the scales are made out of like bone or something, and it's just gonna like completely mess it up if you put it in a strong sanitizer like barbicide. But this one, it can take it. And I just wanted to learn how to do it because I knew that was how barbers used to do that. So I just wanted to see about using a regular razor, and the feel of it is a little different than using the one with the disposable blades. But once you get the hang of it, I do like it. I do have a strop here that I can use to strop the razor to keep it sharp. And then there's a place, they actually have an online company, but they're local. It's called Razor Emporium. Every once in a while I'll take it there and I'll have them hone it. Before the pandemic, I actually was going to take a class in Oregon, or at least call the guys, because they do have a honing class with the stones and stuff. I wanted to take it and learn how to do all the maintenance on the razor myself, but I didn't get a chance to. But that's okay. Using the strop will keep it sharp most of the time, and if I feel like it's getting dull, I just take it down the street to them because it's real close to the shop. And they have a lot of cool shaving stuff. Some of it's local. A brand we carry that's awesome, the Holy Black. They have some of the Holy Black stuff, their shave soaps and stuff. I actually haven't seen the guy do it though. I think they were thinking about doing classes if they had enough interest. So maybe I could do it through them. But actually I got this there. Just a little Parasso talc thing. Oh, sorry. Good. I'm going to take this off because it's wet and put on a dry one. Get the hair wet again. But he actually used his clipper to do it instead of the scissors. Of course you can use scissors to do it. But, you know, David here, his hair is pretty thick, so you know, using a clipper is not necessarily a bad idea if you know how. So I'm going to use this Wall Senior. But he'll actually, you can start in the back and go forward. Honestly, I don't remember if he would just start here and move to the back, or if he started in the back and went forward. I'll just start forward, but he just holds the clipper like this, picks up the hair, and then you just mow through it. And you can still create the square shape. He just goes about it a different way. So he does it this way. I've seen him in videos do it. And I've already kind of done it, some stuff like that before, but it was cool to watch him because he's got a lot of experience. He's been doing this for 30 years. See him do it. And he's still doing the same thing. He said, you know, he would be putting in the square shape of the haircut he was creating But he had this, I forget how he said it. He said something like, he was doing like a crop haircut on a kid, and I was watching him do it, and he told me he was putting in the square shape first, and then he customizes it. I think that's what he said. So it was like, create the square, and then make it something else. And I thought that was cool for haircuts that aren't a square shape. So even if he's doing something that's like crops are real, like, you know, lots of texture, maybe like some fringe in the front, it's not a haircut that's square, but he still started with a square and then created it into something else. So it's like creating something that you're going to begin with and then turning it into a new thing. And I thought that was a cool way of looking at it and a cool way of saying it. Okay. So this looks pretty good. Just go over this weight. And then we'll dry. Cool. So it looks pretty good so far. So I'm going to use the grooming tonic. This one's Ruzel. They have one that you kind of just dump in your hand and then put in someone's hair. I like the spray ones because I can get the spray distributed with the mist better. But the other one's good too. It's just a preference thing, really. Okay. So I'm going to dry this now. Nothing new about drying. You just got to get it dry. And it's high speed, high heat. You just want to be careful with the heat. Wave it around so that you don't burn his scalp. Now I'm back here by his crown area. And I'll make my way forward. As soon as that's dry, I'll go up the hair. You normally use the Holy Black, the Super Max, right? Anybody watching this hasn't heard of the Holy Black, you should definitely check them out. It's these two brothers. They're really good dudes. They've come out here and we've met them all, but I actually met them years ago at a barbering thing in New York, and the aesthetic of what they were doing, I knew that was like, I knew when I was going to my shop, I was going to have that product in my shop, even though they were based out of New York. They do everything themselves. They have like a really cool DIY operation. They're building a shop right now. It looks unbelievably cool. And I usually like to use a comb instead of a brush, just on the area where there's the part. Okay. Let's see. How do I want to go about this? I'm just going to blend the sides a little bit with this. And I'm going to use some straight shears too, because I want to show that. You can see he's got this hair sweeping this way. This is one thing I did see Joff do when I was there. He had it wasn't this tight exact comb, but it was a very, very similar one. And he, instead of using like the other ones or some of the other stuff I did, he would use this and comb through the hair. And he'd lightly get it with these blending shears. He really didn't use them, not nearly as much as I do. But it was cool to watch how he did it with this. He would just comb through with this and go at it like the direction that this growth is going. So it's like slide cutting, but with the blending shears. I forgot where he said he got that comb, but it was very similar to this one. Not exactly the same, but instead of using the other thing, so this down area. Instead, I'm just going with the growth down. Get it with this too. And in a moment here, I'll just switch to a regular shear and blend this. But So this is a regular straight shear. And what I was told is when you're doing shear over a comb, I'm gonna use the big teeth side first. For just getting rid of weight, you can go slower. But the thing that you're always wanting to do is this you want to keep as still as possible. But he would just put like just the tip of his thumb, and I know I got these gloves on, but just the tip of his thumb in there. So you go really fast. But that's for a different type of thing. Right now I'm removing weight, so it's okay to go slower and a little more deliberate. But like this dark spot right here, I'm gonna switch this comb. I'm gonna do it the way that he was doing it in that little video. And just, you can comb it back down. I'm trying to keep my body too, like just really posture-wise straight as possible. So hopefully you can see that that's blending into the weight in the top here. I'll go back to the other thing. Bigger, more deliberate chops to get that. And down by his ear, same deal. I switch to this side and go faster. And this takes practice. I mean, I would bring the scissors home sometimes and just sit on the couch and while I'm watching TV, just do like Kids in the Hall, and just chop people's heads off. If that's super like dated reference, but people are, who the hell is Kids in the Hall? There was a guy on a show called Kids in the Hall. He used to crush everybody's head, so instead I was doing it with that. I don't care if that makes me old. I'm just trying to get that flow going, so just to get that motion. So for as far as blending, you don't have to use the blending shears. You can go about it a different way. You want to use straight shears. You feel like that's more correct for you, and do it that way. Actually, this area, I'm going to point cut this just a touch because it's a little, just trying to make sure I'm going deep enough that it's actually making a difference. I'm just trying to soften this weight. I know guys, especially stylists, they tend to be much better and more versatile with their shear work. I do have some cosmetology background. I did go to cosmetology school. That was probably the biggest thing I got out of that experience, is I wasn't afraid to pick up my shears. In barber school, you're doing lots of clipper cutting and shaving, and you do some shear work, but it's not really emphasized as much as it is in cosmetology school. Some people have gone to really, certain schools where that's all, they're very much about the shear work. That's outstanding, that's great. I had to pick up little tips here and there as I went, but I'm glad that I got that in. And these shears are 7.5 inch, so they're pretty long. I have shorter ones that I like to use for like the top, and I'll do a little bit of that in a minute. I've seen a guy who can do fades with shears. Andrew does hair, he can do that. It's really awesome. I know I can't, I haven't even tried, but there are some people that are that good. If I want to do some stuff on the top here, I usually, if I don't want to use the other blending shears, I'll use these. These are also mid to tines, but they're 6 inch, so they're much shorter. Start in the back and move forward. So pick up this hair. And the reason why I like these opposed to the other ones is it's easy to turn my wrist and really get in there and break up that weight so that it blends nicer. When I went to Sheffield and Joth was watching me do this, I guess he was saying I wasn't going deep enough. He was like, you're not really doing anything if you're not gonna go deeper into the hair. So I think I was doing more like that, where you suggested like really pick it up, really get in there, but I'm not, like you could go across like this. That's not creating texture, that's just cutting the hair. By doing it this way, it's like taking a straight line and making a bunch of dashes or something about it. On my day-to-day, how I would do it, yeah, I would use the blending shears. This is a little bit more of a challenge, but sometimes that can be cool. Or if I have a little extra time, I just want to practice something, I can practice. I'm gonna use my long blending shears and the clippers just a little bit more, and then we should be good. So I've seen these before. I'm just gonna blend the sides a little more with these guys. But that's my goal. I'm just trying to show you guys a couple of different new things.
Really? Yeah, you know what? That might have changed. They got some good funding.
Really, I did pretty okay on this. It doesn't need a ton of blending shears. The other thing he mentioned before I left to come back home to the States is he was like, just try it, try it my way for a couple of weeks. When you're done, keep what you like, get rid of the rest. And honestly, that's all I've ever done. I always try to get at least one thing out of every class I've ever taken, but I haven't had anybody go, no, that's not the way. You do it this way. I think that's necessary at first because you have no idea what the hell you're doing for a while. So it's good to have somebody just, rein you in and go, you don't know what you're doing, so just do it exactly the way I do it. And then later, once you understand that, you can start to develop your own style cutting, or you can take classes, learn from other people, and then that's all I really ever did. I haven't done anything that was like totally my own thing. It's just like an amalgam of a bunch of other people's stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's why this craft survived, really. It's just other people passing down what they know. They have to be willing to do it. But I don't take any credit for that. I might throw my own little spin on something. That's cool. But I just tried to listen to what other people do. And then if I really liked what they were doing, just work on it. Just getting rid of some little weight line here. But I'm really close to being finished with this one. There's a little dark spot there I don't like. Get that.
Those Arkansas, especially like the northern top of Arkansas, like you get those like big towns.
You see this guy? Clip it over comb.
Maybe he's got 62, 65. There's one roof that goes like to the top. Like, top 20.
Yeah, I might have to get the guard and just get down with that.
And this thing along with the bird.
Okay.
It's sort of like you're going out to Huntsville.
I just see this little dark spot I want to get out. The thing with this, as opposed to the other brush, which I don't know where I put that thing today, this is made out of material that you could actually put in the barbicide. So if anybody's worried about sanitation, or they don't feel like the other ones can be sanitized properly, or if they live in a state with some really strict rules with that stuff, you can just take this and dump it in there. It'll kill any bacteria or parasites. And you just clean it up. But basically, it's just when you're fading, you can brush the hair back down into place. Because when you fade, it can be deceptive, especially with certain textures of hair. It can look like you faded it fine, you brush it down, and there's a lot of dark area. So it removes the hair from your scalp. If there's any hair sticking to your scalp, it puts the hair back down so that you can, if it's dark and you need to get in there and fade that area, you can do that. So it's doing those two things at the same time. I like the way this looks, but there's a little spot here that's not. It's being challenged to fade it out. There we go.
Well, no, you said Huntsville? Yeah, he would probably do that.
Good.
Mine too would be pretty good for that. I'll have one over the fire, one over the
Okay, and then let me get your neck. Let's make sure this is nice and tapered. Get this part with the corner. And move the arm about halfway. One new thing I'm seeing these new clippers come out with is the click lever. I mean, honestly, I like that better than this. I mean, for years we've had to kind of do like an eyeball guesswork with this. There's nothing wrong with it. I think this is a good clipper. It's totally fine. But I like the click lever. Like there's especially times early on when I was using corded clippers, like an Andis Master or something, where I'd be thinking I was fading right, and then I look and the arm's like way down like this, and I'm like, oh no, dude, I messed up. So I like that assurance of like it clicking into place and it's not gonna go down, mess up my fade. Okay, looks good. Actually, can see a little bit of a remnant from the beginning here I need to get rid of. Good. Now I'm going to use the box shaver to clean up that line. There's a little bit of a line there. I want to get that going away. Looks cool on dark hair. You can really see it. Also, give it a couple extra days before that hair starts going out in the neckline. I know when I'm between haircuts, it's the most annoying part. It sucks when you have hair on your neck like that. To get the line out down at the bottom, he actually just flipped the clipper over and did it like that. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I like that. It's cool when all this new stuff from these guys. Sometimes you can just get, you just want to try something a different way because you're getting bored, or, I've had customers where it was just hard to figure out their hair for a while. So I kept coming back. I was like, okay, because I didn't think it was that good, but it gave me the opportunity to really go, okay, what can I do to make this work? Some people just have really challenging hair to cut. Cool. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, he started it.
Grab the holy black in a second.
What are you talking about? Okay.
City slurs.
City slurs. Orange County city slurs.
Yeah, Orange County.
Just wanted to get that a little, break that up. Cool. I'll do this nowadays pretty much to everybody who's got to go back to work or hold on. Cool. Okay. I don't remember what they said it's supposed to smell like. To me, it smells like applesauce. Not that that's bad. I like applesauce. Like a cola smell. This is a high hold, high shine pomade. So it's The shine's gonna give it like a real classic kind of look. Nowadays, most guys are not looking for shine. They want stuff that looks a lot more natural, but I do like, and that could be cool too. But I still like shine too. And some guys too, they get both. They'll get a can of like clay, and then maybe if they're going out, just want it to look a little more polished. You could change the whole way the haircut looks with just a different styling product. Okay. Because I got to wear the gloves, I tend to put a little more product on my hands because not all of it's going to get on the scalp. So it's just going to get thrown away with the gloves.
Oh, you finished them up this time, huh, Ray?
Just made it shorter sides.
Looking good there, Dave.
Just a regular pick.
So you got a head start. So.
And again, he's got a natural, pretty distinct part. So as far as using the pick to comb through the hair, it kind of does the guiding for me. I don't have to really find it. I follow with this other hand to smooth out the hairs. That keeps the volume, keeps the height of the haircut. This is usually, for me, the coolest part. You can really see if what I did is working. Don't want the product to like make the haircut, but I like to style hair. That was like when I was trying to figure out, some things that maybe I could do a little differently to stand out. It's like, well, I'll really learn how to style their hair. I was always pretty okay with that. And as far as my own personal, I didn't have any experience with hair, but when I was in high school, I would style my own hair. Probably didn't look that good, but did do it. Those were the days when everybody was using gel. There was nothing else. Spray a little of this grooming spray on the comb just to help me comb through the hair. So remove this. I like to try to part it right from where the hair changes direction. Some people will go, I can't do that, I can't see the back of my head. If you really want to know how to do it, I could, show you, but I don't necessarily expect you to get it right on the money every day. But if you can get the general idea, it should still look good. Some people, they have a little more leeway. I mean, unfortunately, somebody may want something, but their hair, they're going to be fighting it the whole time. Or I remember once I had a guy, his hair was so stiff, I couldn't get it to do, it didn't matter how I cut it, I couldn't do anything. And I was not sure how to go, so I asked my boss, I was like, what do I do about this? And he's like, he's going to have to get a relaxer. I was like, what? So we had to send him into the salon. It was like, he wanted a haircut basically like you had, but his hair was all straight, just went straight that way. I couldn't do anything about it. So I was like, well, you got to get a chemical relaxer. And then he did, but then he didn't keep up with it. So then some of it was like, hair moved, and then the new stuff didn't move. So then it just looked worse. And I was like, you got to pick something else. This isn't going to work for you, man. I mean, some people, yeah, sure, they're lucky and they can they got gray hair, they can get pretty much whatever. But I mean, most people, average guy, there is a haircut for them, or maybe a few that will work really good. And then the other thing's just more like lifestyle. It's like if you come in and go, well, I want my hair to look like yours, but I don't want to put anything in it. I'm like, it's not possible, man. Or a picture of a celebrity. I want my hair to look like this guy, but I don't want to do anything. Come on, dude. His hair's professionally styled. Gotta do something. Like, if you don't want to do anything at all, we gotta pick something else. If you wanted this haircut, but you're like, I don't want to touch it. I'm like, I can't help you, man.
This is when you were driving, not when you were a kid.
It really is a good haircut for you because it's what your hair's already doing. It's like so easy to get it to do this. You don't have to really, I'm assuming you don't have to struggle to find your partner. Your hair's parting, even when you have a hat on, it's already parting. Okay, I'm done before I get too OCD on this. He said this is like some kind of epoxy with the wood. It's pretty cool, man.
Who is he? Does he have a...
He's been coming to see me for a while. His name's Doug. He lately has been seeing Connor because I've been pretty busy, but
Maybe if Connor wants to do a video, maybe he could be in this.
yeah, totally. But thank you very much for this mirror. It's really cool. It's the first time I'm using it. And he made the other one. That was the first mirror he tried to make. But if I parted it more like slammed it down more to the side, you'd say it's an executive contour. But because it has that height in the front, you could say it's a pompadour with a part. I mean, a lot of those haircuts on the posters, and hope you'll have to cut out this copper fit logo on my
Yeah, I can do that.
gloves. Just let everybody know I'm a huge Brett Favre fan, and I'll buy anything that guy is hawking. Doesn't matter what it is.
Change it up a little bit.
Isn't that the guy who does that? Copper fit? I truthfully started wearing them because I tried a bunch of other ones and nothing felt comfortable under the other gloves except these. And now I buy them, and then as soon as they get screwed up and I gotta throw them away, I get new ones. Okay. Thank you.